So let me ask you a question. How would you like to never have to worry about content creation ever again? In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can batch your content for the entire month so that you can focus on other things in your life and your business. If we haven't met before, my name is Dawn Martinello. I'm the owner of a little company called Insight and Velocity, where I support entrepreneurs who are super passionate about going after a business and a life that they love by making it as easy as possible for them to launch and grow their online presence without going crazy, even if they have no idea what they're doing or what they should be doing next. Now, planning, creating, and repurposing your content, it's a lot of work, like a lot of work. And it's tough to know where to even start, let alone how to keep it consistent. On the one hand, you want to be strategic. On the other hand, you really don't have a whole lot of time, especially if you're a one-man show. I know, because that is the exact reason that I have always quit the whole idea of content creation in the past too. Yes, it can be hard, but it is the single most important thing that you can be doing in your business. I mean, if you want to attract new leads, if you want to stay top of mind for your audience, and if you want your customers throwing their money at you. But today I'm going to walk you through all of the tools and the exact steps that I personally use to batch all of my content, where I plan, I write, and I automate everything for the entire month in under 5 hours. And after today, you're going to be able to do the same thing too. So let's start with the why. I mean, yes, we know that it's time saving, right? It's going to save you a boatload of freaking time. You can imagine if you've only got 5 or 6 minutes here or there, maybe a half an hour, it can all start to add up. Doing it in a batch, the way that we're going to learn today, is going to save you so much time. If you don't have 5 hours in one day, that's cool. Split it up throughout the month. But 5 hours and be able to sit back and relax, knowing that everything that you need to have done for the month is ready to go, it's insane. It's also going to get you the consistency that you need, right? What we want more than anything is for you to have the engagement, the leads, the sales, right? All of those things are going to come with that consistency. And you're going to be able to repurpose all of your content seamlessly. It's like massive. When you know what you're going to be doing, you can be more thoughtful in all of the steps leading up to everything. Super important. So let's talk about all the secret tips that we have for content batching. We have to start with the research. Now, there's 2 things to think about when it comes to research. There is making sure that you have the content that you're actually going to be wanting to produce every month, but there's also finding the right idea, right? The right kind of thing that you need to say in order to get the things that you want, the leads and the sales. We're going to talk about that in just a second. When we start with researching, the first thing I want you to do is check out Amazon. Okay, these are all free, easy things that you can do, like in the next 10 minutes as soon as you're done with this video. Don't click away now. Don't. So Amazon, I want you to look for books that are in your niche, right? Every book that can be on there is not necessarily the one you want to be looking at, but you want to look for things that are actually selling, people that are buying it and reviewing it. The broad topic of that book is going to be a broad topic for you to be able to start creating content. Now, one of the problems that people do is they try to contain everything into one video. They think, oh my gosh, I'm going to talk everything there is to know about content planning or content creation. And it does a bunch of things. One, it makes it impossible for you to keep having ideas. If you just try to have 6 main things in your company and you try to do a video on those things and you never go deeper, you're going to run out of ideas super duper quickly, super quickly. 2, it's actually going to cannibalize your sale, right? When you are giving everything in a video, there's nothing left to buy. It overwhelms your audience. They don't end up doing anything with it. Overwhelm, as you know, is the killer of everything. I can go into Dropbox, Evernote, all kinds of different files that I have and look at all of the courses that I've bought, courses that have been given to me, books that I bought, courses, lead mags. There's just massive amounts of stuff sitting in the cloud and on my computer that I've never touched because it's too much information. So we don't want to go too crazy when we're creating our content. We need to get super, super niche down in the idea of what we're going to actually teach people. So once you've got the broad ideas for things, I want you to look at the ratings. I want you to look at the best ratings, and I want you to look at the worst ratings, because you can grab ideas from both of those things for different things. When people are raving about a book, they're often talking about the best parts of the book. What makes that author so amazing? What makes that content so amazing? Those are things that people are dying to learn, and you can teach them too. What I don't want you to do is start to think, oh, but it's already been said. Fuck that. Everybody is waiting for your voice on a topic. I've taught you before that people have all of the same ideas. There's really nothing new in anything, right? That's why we always have naming conventions that we come up with things, right? We create our own name for different things, and you're going to hear a few of those things today when I talk about the core framework. It's the same shit you can Google. When you talk about the speed buckets that we're going to talk about in a little while, it's all of the same stuff. We create names for things because that makes it feel like you're missing something, okay? So I don't want you to get stuck in that kind of idea with things. But let's go back to the books and the reviews. People are dying to hear the way that you present things. Maybe you present things in a more easy to understand manner. I've done esoteric kind of courses where it's really, really high level and I have zero idea what that person is talking about. But then the host comes in and says, all right, so let me kind of Danielify this. And she talks at a level that I can actually understand. And that is completely different. They're saying the exact same things, but she's saying it in a different way that I can actually take in and do something with. People are waiting for the same thing from you. Think about band covers, right? Like if you go back and you find like the most covered song in history, I don't even know what it is because I'm not that smart. But there's a reason why the covers always do so well. It's because people love the song. They're waiting to hear your voice. They're waiting to hear your interpretation. They're waiting for you to present that to them in a completely different way. Your content is no different. I also want you to look at the worst reviews. What I love about these guys, these ones are even better than grabbing titles and topics and the best content that people are dying for. Look at the negative reviews for the things that are missing, right? Look for the things where they say this was a quick book, but I really loved all of the information about how to get started with keto, how to exercise with keto, how to stay consistent with keto. But what I really was hoping for was a recipe menu guide for when I'm pregnant. That is a content gap that you can take full advantage of. Obviously, the book is selling, the topic is selling, but there's a content gap that you can actually go in and fill. Okay, so you can grab 3 different ideas just from going into Amazon. Right? Everybody can do that right now. The second place you can go is something called answerthepublic.com. Now, be careful when you go in there because they have 2 tiered plans. One is a free plan, the other one's $97 a month. Don't worry about paying the $97 a month unless you're doing this so massively and you're doing content every day and you need massive amounts of ideas, which you don't. I go on there, I use the free version. It's more than enough for me. Especially when you look at some of the other videos where I've talked about how to get ideas and what you're going to learn here, you're going to have lots and lots of ideas to get you started, okay? To keep you going over, you can go years like this. But what it is, it's going to compile all the things that people are actually searching on Google for. It seems kind of rudimentary, right? But think of it this way. I mean, if you guys have ever had like a diary, at any point in your life, but especially when you were younger? Let me know in the comments. Because here's the thing. The things that we would tell our parents was different than the things that we would tell our very best friend. And all of those things were very different than what we wrote in our diary. Our diary is where our deepest, darkest secrets went to die, right? You would never want anybody reading your diary because that's where you can just lay everything out, put everything on the line, and not have to worry about a single thing, right? In 2022, the online version of that is Google searches. So I'm a little weird when it comes to death. I actually have videos that are going to go out to like the most important people in my life, if anything were to ever happen to me. And my best friend has very clear instructions that are hidden away in a little envelope, just in case. I know I'm weird and crazy. But in addition to sending all these little videos, destroy my Google history, just destroy my laptop, destroy the phone, get rid of all of it. Why? Because that's where I'm stupid, right? Like the questions that I don't want to raise my hand and ask, go into a Google search. My biggest fears, go into a Google search. The one thing I would never want anybody to ever read is my freaking Google search. Answer the Public gives you all of those deep, dark, like, what the fuck is going on questions that people don't necessarily want to ask you, right? So a lot of you probably already have some kind of a survey or, maybe when you're entering into a Facebook group, it's like, what are you struggling with most? It's common because that's what we need to know. If you've taken my target marketing course, which is in the free entrepreneur's vault, you know the types of questions that we ask to get some of the non-demographic kind of information from our clients so that we can serve them better. But people are not 100% honest when they're answering those. They might tell you my biggest struggle is I don't know how to get traffic, or I don't understand Facebook ads, or I'm not good on video. But there is a root cause behind all of that. There is more layers that you need to peel away like a little onion if you want to find their actual problems. And Answer the Public does that perfectly for you because it gathers up all of the stuff. So when you go in there, just make sure that you're searching from like US and English speaking only, right? Because otherwise you're going to get kind of skewed results and not kind of the actual kind of dialed in stuff that you're actually looking for. And then the third thing that you can do when you're researching ideas is look at like any platform. I don't even care what it is. Facebook. You can go into Facebook groups. You can just search on Facebook. Look at what people are asking for. You can go onto YouTube. What's showing up on the pages there? Instagram, TikTok. Doesn't matter what the platform is. Go and look for the trends and the ideas. Okay? Look if there are shares, if there's comments, if there's anything like that where people are loving on something, it's a really good indication that they're interested in the topic. And then you can pull that out and start to plan some ideas for yourself. Go into the comments, see what people are asking, see what people are loving, see what people are hating. All of that can go into a massive database for you to start pulling your ideas from. Okay. Now, if you follow my core method, which Google how to freaking make engagements on videos and in your blogs, and you'll find all the same things. I'm not going to lie to you guys. There is no new ideas, right? But core stands for conversions, planning for your conversions. O is one thing once a week. R is repurposing, and E is engagement. Those are the 4 things you need to do in your stuff if you want to see results. If you're following that, when you're going through your ideas, you only need 4 things, 4 little topics, not big, massive topics, little topics. If you have only 4 things, or 5, if it's going to be a longer month, that's all you're going to need. But I don't stop there. 1, Answer the Public only gives me a couple of searches a month for free. So I look up the topic that I want to look at and I write all of my ideas down. So I have a giant document filled with ideas, even though I only need 4. And the reason I do that is because of the next part of things, and I told you about it earlier, how to find the right idea. Okay? So there's no real bad ideas as long as it's content that you can produce and it's going to give some kind of a result or some kind of an education or an entertainment to your audience. But there is like this happy combination that's a perfect idea. And that's what I want to talk about you guys next. So you want to get really, really strategic about what you're doing. So when we're planning for our conversions, how do you plan for conversions if you don't know what you're going to sell? Now, selling could be, I want somebody to buy my thing. It could be, I want somebody to opt in for my free thing. It could be, I want them to join my Facebook group. Whatever that conversion looks like for you, you need to start to plan for that. Okay? Next, you're going to think, what kind of objections do I often get or might I get? Now, there's core objections across the board that people are going to say. I don't have enough time. I have to talk to my spouse, my husband, my wife. I don't have the money for it. Right? There's all of these kind of core objections that if you're not sure, especially if you're really new and you're not sure why people are saying no and you can't get the answers from them, there are some core kind of main things that you can always go through because humans are always going to have the same thing. It's like this happy little blanket that they hang on to, right? When I don't want to say no to somebody because I feel bad for them, I tell them, oh, you know what? I got to go talk to my husband, or I got to go talk to my friend about it first, or I got to talk to my business partner first, right? I don't have the time to do it. Those are easy things for us to say. And it's often from like a psychology point of view, when people aren't really aware of why they don't want to do that, it's really easy to say, I don't have the time. Okay, just saying. If you're confused about objections, start there because everybody's looking for more time. So now I've got the kind of strategic ideas of what kind of things do I want to sell or what kind of things do I want to have a conversion on? And I've got what kind of objections are coming on. Okay, so this one I learned from Molly Mahoney. You find a way to smoosh them all together. Right? That's an ideal topic. Give you something that you want and something that you need. I'm going to hopefully get something that I want and need for my business. And the way that I'm going to do that is by giving you content while smushing some of your objections. Pretty smart, right? Smart lady. So let's say you've got a topic of how to exercise while I'm pregnant, but the objection is I'm too busy to do that, or I'm too tired to do that. So now your topic becomes your pregnancy shouldn't slow you down. 5 ways to find 30 minutes in your day this week. See? Smart, right? These are the perfect strategic ideas that give you everything you need to get what you want out of your content. Most people are not just showing up to post videos or write content just for the fuck of writing it, right? They're doing it for a reason, and this is what you're going to get there. Okay, so that's finding your ideas, the research portion, the planning of those kind of ideas. And these come quickly, especially once you go through some of these things and you have that really long list instead of stopping at 4. Now you've got extra that you can work into next month as well. Super duper smart. So then we go into the batch writing portion of things. Now this is where I come in. I spend less than an hour creating the content that I'm going to use, and I only do it once a month. So I usually sit down one day. I take one day where I'm not super busy with my clients, where my kids don't need me, where I don't have meetings, and I can take 2 or 3 hours and just sit down and write content. I get the emails written, the blog posts written, headlines written, video scripts written, SEO stuff. I get graphics created. I get everything I could possibly need. It's going on to YouTube. I've got a secondary title and a video description. I go live. I've got the hook and the intro and all of my little notes for things. I've got a full blog post that I'm going to be writing on it. Everything is done. Okay. The way that I do that is with Jasper. Now, one of the things, if you don't know, by the way, Jasper used to be Jarvis, and I'm super sad because I don't know if you guys can see the little thing back there. What is that called? It's a water bottle. If you can see the water bottle. But I love Jarvis, and I don't really love the name Jasper, but we're going to try to call him Jasper. But where were we? We were talking about how to do Jasper and writing your content. So he is loaded with a bunch of templates. So things like writing headlines, things like persuasive bullet points, video scripts, right? Got all of these templates that are already loaded in. And he's got a couple of really smart, and I absolutely adore them. And it's what I base all of my content around. 2 different frameworks that is heavily used in marketing for decades, right? The PAS template, which is problem, agitate, solve, and the AIDA, attention, interest. What does D stand for? Doesn't even matter. But those are the 2 that I usually use, and I base all of those things off of. The easiest part for me is that I can repurpose all of that stuff. So Jasper actually has this handy little thing that says rephrase. So when I create the introduction to my video, for example, I go in and I say, hey, Jasper, can you rephrase this really awesome thing that you just wrote? Because I'm going to use that in my blog post. So it literally is 3 seconds of click and looking, and now I've got a brand new introduction to my video. And then I take that and I say, hey, Jasper, can you rephrase that one more time, my friend? And that's my email that's going to go to my email list that says, hey, I'm live. And if you want to learn more about this topic, you should come and visit me, right? So I use all of the templates in there, but I also repurpose the content that Jasper gives me. He's very good at creating a new pattern for exactly what he just wrote. So if you're not familiar, I need a sip of coffee, guys. If you didn't see the video where I used Jasper to show you how quickly I write with him, you'll have to go back and watch that. But he's the way that it works, it's not scraping content. It's not going and finding Russell Brunson and pulling different bits and pieces and mushing them all together. He works based off of patterns. Very smart little AI, and I love him very dearly. He has made all of this stuff possible, because before Jasper, this is the part that would screw me over every single time, made too much time. But he is able to build patterns. So once you've got something written, like your introduction to your video, it's super easy for him to understand what that pattern looks like and reproduce something similar but different for your email, for your video description, for your blog post. So that makes things super easy. I also combine that with what I call business blueprints. So these are a compilation of things that I created after 15 years in this industry. I've taken hundreds of courses, some of them not so good, but some of them are from really, really big people who really know their shit far more than I do. So after spending all of that time going through all those courses and working hands-on with myself, with clients, and seeing what works and what doesn't work, I pulled together what I call business blueprints, which is, kind of a step-by-step on how to do things. So when you're writing a sales page, for example, it's always the same kind of format, right? We start with our headline that's going to introduce everything and really capture their attention. They're going to talk about, what's your problem like right now? What could your life look like? And then a bridge for how to make that happen, right? And then you start going into all of these different steps. So rather than trying to write everything from scratch and come up with like a new idea, I just take all of these ideas, I put them into a blueprint so that I know that when I write a sales page, the first thing I need to do is a before after bridge, which Jarvis has a template for. So I make a note that this is what I want at the top of my sales page, and I'm going to use this Jarvis template. So I've got one on one side and I've got my content writing on the other side. I quickly look over here. I know that I've got to write that bridge, that before after bridge. I go into Jarvis and say, hey, write me this. He spits out a whole bunch of stuff, and boom, we've got everything done. And like I said, I also repurpose all of the stuff that is already in there so that I'm not constantly trying to write. So if I write my blog post to start with, for example, I've already got everything written in there that I'm going to need for putting on my thumbnails, for sending out emails, for putting in the YouTube, all of these different things. They're just going to be repurposed through Jarvis by using that rephrase or content improver. Okay, makes it super quick. And that's how I can get 4 or 5 pieces of content out in like 0 amount of time. It's freaking amazing, guys. Absolutely amazing. I'm just looking. I don't see comments anymore, especially now when I'm doing Zoom, and it makes me super duper sad. So if I miss anything, I'll just come back and chat with you guys in the end. So automation is next, right? So we've already come up with our ideas. We figured out how to write them, and now we got to automate everything. And the tools that I use for that, I've talked about it before. Social Champ is my favorite. I got that through like an AppSumo. You guys use that? Keep an eye on that because they have amazing deals. And I come out with so many different tools that I never knew existed. And then I get lifetime deals for like $60 instead of like $30 a month. It's amazing. But Social Champ is one of my favorites. You can use any social scheduler that you want, okay? What you want to make sure that it has, and the vast majority of them do, if it's a free version of something, they often don't, okay? So be prepared that you might want to make a purchase for this if you don't have anything. You just want to make sure that there is some way to recycle your content, okay? Because there's no point in repurposing things if you have to sit in front of your desk every day and click post all the time or schedule things up, or even if you're bulk scheduling, it's a pain in the butt and it doesn't work, right? So what I do is I use what I call speed buckets, right? So it's a little acronym so that I can remember what they always are. SPPED, showcase your skills, anything like testimonials or anything that makes you sound really stinking smart. So sometimes I'll say something in a video and it's a really good point that I think is going to showcase my skills or my abilities or my knowledge. That'll go into my showcase bucket. I've also got one for promotion. So anything I'm selling, anything that I'm going to ask people to opt in for, any kind of conversion is going to go in that one. We've got one for personal so that you can show a different side of you, right? Especially right now when we're seeing all of the traffic on Facebook, it is harder to get organic reach. It's harder to get results from your ads. So we're seeing a far bigger incline to authenticity. And that's a word that people are throwing around for years online, but showing them a more personal side of you is really a way to connect with your audience on a whole different level. If you really want them to like be able to imprint with you and who you are and what you're doing, showing them the personal side of things is mega, mega important. And this is even long before anybody was like, oh my God, Facebook is dying. When you would see behind the scenes, right? If somebody shows you behind the scenes in their office or what they did in their business, it was like, oh, people sat up and took notice. It's a human thing. We're interested in the things that we don't know about. So we show them the things that we want to share on a personal level. We have a whole bucket that's just for engagement. So asking silly questions or anything that's polarizing, anything that's going to get people to comment and share is going to go into your engagement bucket. And then we have directional. These ones are confusing for people because they're similar to the showcase. In sales, you always have to, there are objections that you're going to have to squash. And there is also a journey that you have to bring people on in order to get them to understand that you and your solution is the absolute only option for their problem. So in the directional bucket is where I place all of those kind of little beliefs that I need people to start understanding. Okay, so if you are doing something, let's go back to keto. If one of the beliefs that people need to understand is that keto is easy, you're going to have in your directional bucket content that's going to prove that quickly and without a doubt. So it's not necessarily, an hour-long masterclass that you're doing. It can just be a comment from somebody. It can be proving how easy something is, right? Creating a quick meal, doing a video about it, or doing a post about it. That kind of stuff that you can just constantly, not just showcasing what you're all about and how smart you are, and testimonials, and proving that you are the expert in this field. But it's what are the beliefs that I need them to start understanding and start believing for themselves in order to get to the point of converting for me. Okay. Now, when you are setting these things up, most people go in and they get super excited about the bulk uploader, right? They're like, I need to have a bulk uploader. Now, if you've been doing this for years, that's super handy because you probably got hundreds and thousands of posts. When you're just starting off, especially if you haven't been saving things in a certain way, if you haven't been using something similar to or exactly like the speed buckets, then you don't care about the bulk uploader. But we also start to think that we need to have a social media content library of like 1,000 things. And it's just not true. You don't need it. Not if you do things the way I do, which is done enough, and then we're going to build on it. It's kind of like pre-selling your course, right? So when I first released Brand Soldiers, it was like a 6-module course that I had planned. I think it might've been 7 with the bonuses, but it would have been a lot of work for me to create that entire course and then turn around and try and sell it. So I didn't. I said, hey, I've got this really great idea. I created a whole sales page around the idea of what this was going to be and what you were going to get. The bonus was you're going to be live with me, so you get one-on-one interaction and questions with me. And I pre-sold it. People gave me money before it was actually created. Then I created it every single week. Your social media and these speed buckets can be the exact same way. I know, like crazy, right? You only need 28 things. That's all you need. Okay. So if you're starting with your core method, right? The things that we talked about before, where you're going to do planning for the conversions, one thing once a month, repurposing and engagement, you probably get away with even less. I think I had half of that when I started doing this several months back. Why? Because you're going to be very intentional with your repurposing. So remember when I said at the very top of the video that when you are content batching, it makes the repurposing seamless. This is why. You can be intentional to do things. So after my videos are done, my repurpose hour that I spend doing that is really pulling 1, 2, maybe 3 things from that video and putting it into a speed bucket. So if your speed buckets, if you're going to have most of those things, now there's 5 of them, but there's 7 days in a week. So each of those are going to go out 1 day a week. Your personal and your engagement are going to go out twice a week. Okay. So one thing once a day going out from everything. To get a full month, you're going to need 28 things. If you're going to start implementing this, as soon as you're going to start creating your content, you can actually get away with less. So inside of Social Champ, I create different campaigns that say, hey, on Monday at 8 a.m., I want you to send out one of the posts from my personal bucket. And it's going to start at the top and it's going to work its way down. So technically, as long as you can commit to it and as long as you got the time to do it, you could technically get away with only having 7 things in your speed bucket when you start. How easy is that to come up with one smart thing to put in your showcase, one personal thing to put in there, one engagement, one some kind of an promotion in your showcase and your directional. Okay? Super easy as opposed to trying to come up with 100 different things that you're going to post because you need to backfill everything. Okay? So each week at the end of my videos, I'm looking for something that I can put into those speed buckets. Super duper easy. Repurposing. I can't stress this enough. So this goes hand in hand with the automation and part of what we were just talking about. It doesn't matter if you can pull 50 different quote cards from your content. Doesn't matter if you can grab 41 GIFs from your content. It doesn't matter if you can get 17 video snippets from your content. If you can't keep up with it, none of it freaking matters. That seems really stupid to have to point out and silly, but you would be surprised when we start things, we are very gung-ho. We have lots of energy. We got lots of time. We're like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And we try to come up with all these things. And yes, there can be 40 different GIF ideas and 50 quotes and 17 video snippets that you could get from your content. But what are you capable of doing? If the only thing you can do is download the video, trim it, and put it onto YouTube, then that's your repurposing strategy for now. All of this is new. The longer you do it, the easier it becomes, the more second nature it becomes. Then you can start adding things on. Just like you start peeling away the onion layers, you can start to add layers onto your repurposing. But don't start up here when your capability is down here. No bueno. Okay, we don't do that. So unless you want to work 24/7, unless you've got massive amounts of time, energy, and just the desire to do it, start smaller, okay? So I talked before about what my repurposing is like because I don't have a million hours to spend on it. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a video editor. Lord help us if I ever tried to do any of those things. But I can take a little snippet and I put it on LinkedIn. And that's all I do on LinkedIn. Okay, that's it. I let people know that, hey, I've got a video that's going to be coming out. And then after the video, I put a little snippet up and says, if you want the rest of this, let me know. I'm going to give it to you. I take the video, I chop off the ends of it. I have an outro that I created in Canva. I stick a thumbnail on it and I add cards. And I even have this in my little SOP. So I know that, hey, you're going to ask for certain things or you're going to put certain things in the video. So I always, because show notes come out like a day or so afterwards, then I always usually put a card up there that says, hey, the show notes are out with a link to it, even though the show notes aren't technically quite out yet. But I don't have massive reach on YouTube. Thousands of people are not watching my video within the first hour of putting it out. So I'm okay with doing it that way. Down the road, when things start to get crazier on YouTube, then you can't do it that way. But that's what goes out onto YouTube. And I've already got the content, like the title that I'm going to use for it, that's been created specifically for YouTube, for the keywords that people are searching for. And the video description is already pre-written. So it's really just a matter of making sure my show notes are up first and doing the little trim, and away it goes. It's super quick and it's super easy for me to do. Right? I have a private Facebook group that this video go into. I usually also go live into that Facebook group afterwards. And then I also put all of that content into one easy to read place inside the Entrepreneur's Vault so that people can get all of the content there. Right? So they can access the full training, they can access the bonus training, they can access the show notes, they can get everything related to that one piece of content really, really easily from one place inside the vault. Makes it super duper easy. But my content repurposing is not massive. Then I quickly go through and I find all the weird little things that I do because apparently I make weird faces and I talk a lot with my hands, which makes great GIFs. So we're going to do a whole video on how to actually create GIFs, how to upload them into Tenor and Giphy so that you can actually start to get those kind of recognition and content out there as well, which is super fun. I actually like doing that. I do that while I'm sitting in front of the TV at night. So that's repurposing, making sure that you are just doing what you can. It may not be everything that needs to be done, but a done content plan, a done content execution plan is way better than something that you plan to have this extraordinary plan for and never get done, right? Crazy. So bonus tip, especially for the ladies, let me tell you, before COVID started, I've worked at home for 15 years. So COVID didn't really affect me like work-wise when it came to like, oh my God, I'm stuck at home and I'm, always in front of a computer. That's been my life for 15 years. But because we couldn't really go out as much, I found that I didn't really do my hair as often, almost never wear makeup. I never really was camera ready. So I found like taking pictures of myself was like weird because I take a picture and I was like, oh, nope, we're not using that one on business unless it's going to be some weird, like personal crazy thing that I want to get people laughing about. So what I do is once a week I go live. So once a week, at the very least, my hair is done. Even though you'll see how much gray is coming in, right? I got to find me a hairdresser because mine is on maternity leave for like several more months. It's going to be a disaster. But I've got my hair done. I've got more makeup on than I wore in a week because nothing shows up on the camera without piles of makeup. So I take full advantage of my camera ready state and I take videos. I take pictures. Sometimes I grab my kid and I'm like, hey, Spencer, let's take a picture. Boop, right? I grab my cats sometimes and I make them take pictures with me too, because you never know what I might want or what I might need, right? I will take little videos. So I'll go on to Giphy later, right? While I've got all my makeup on and I've got all of these ideas that I've come up with of things that are doing really well, what people are searching for, what's trending, what's showing up on the front pages. And I think about my audience. You know, if my audience was going to use a GIF, what might they say, right? And I'm not very good, I'll be honest. I'm not necessarily very good at remembering to do things inside the video, although I have got a ton of GIFs from my videos because, like I said, I make weird faces. I do weird things with my hands. I talk with my hands a lot. So they do make for really good GIFs, but sometimes I want something specific. So one of the classes, it was like a little master class that she was doing, and she wanted implementation right away. So this is like an extra bonus tip that has nothing to do with content making. But if you are doing any kind of like a master class or a challenge or anything like that, and you're trying to find ways to get people to execute things, which is important. Consuming does shit. It sort of makes you a little smarter, but if you don't execute, doesn't matter. If somebody takes your content, your very best things, pays you millions of dollars for it and never executes it, do you think they're going to rave about you? No. So you really want them executing. Anyway, she had done this class and she had people doing things right away. And it was super smart because there were so many layers about it. I'm going to have to do a whole other video about it. Oh my God, guys, because there's so many layers to it. And this is why I love teaching you guys how to think instead of what to think. Because then it's not just, here is the box you have to sit into. We're getting off on a tangent. Is that okay? Because there's good stuff coming, I promise. When you think about sitting inside of a box, you only have that one list of things to do that guru told you to do. When you can learn how to think about things, then you can go and get on anybody's email list. You can take anybody's masterclass and you'll have a kind of how-to and a new list of things to try without ever having to pay a dime. So when I went to this masterclass, one of the things that I took away, now she was talking all about live video and social media. So she had everybody go out and take a picture. And she's like, just make it a crazy picture, like, oh! And she took a picture, she showed everybody, and then she had everybody do it as well. The reason she did that is because it was going to give her a big boost in her social media. She was wrapping it up in this handy little bow because it was also getting people out of their comfort zone. Right? People are there because they're not used to being on social media. They're not used to being on video. I'm going to get you to take that first step. Take a picture. She showed them how to post it onto their Instagram as a story and how to tag her. So guess what happens to her Instagram algorithm during the 5 days that she's running this challenge? Whoop, right? It goes up. And people are happy to do it because they're learning something. They also take it one step further and they're like, then you're going to see how our chat bot is going to automatically recognize that you tagged me in your story. It's going to say thank you. And then it's going to ask you if I can share it on mine. And when you say yes, it's going to be shared on mine, which gets you visibility, right? It's a win for everybody. If you don't know how to think, you can never take away the gold nugget from what she just did. The fact that she was able to serve people by teaching them something, by getting them to take action and get out of their comfort zone, it made them feel amazing. It got them started, but it did just as much, if not more, for her own stuff. When you're doing those challenges, you need the engagement. You need the algorithm pumping out in your favor, right? So freaking smart, guys. This is so smart. I took so many notes on the theories of things. And that's why I so drive home every single video. Don't just listen to what I have to say. Don't just listen to whatever anybody else has to say. You have to learn how to look at it. That's why, like in the content creation club that I have, Get It Done, there's a whole training on how to use swipe files. Not what you typically find and what people will typically teach you, like, hey, you know, you're going to be able to do this and you're going to be, but I teach you how I look at things. And so that the idea is that you can learn to think like I do so that you can start to look at other emails and look at courses and look at challenges and the things that people are doing and say, oh, I get it. I know why they're doing that. It's smart because X, Y, and Z. And then you can take that idea and you can implement it in your business and you haven't paid a freaking penny. It's crucial to learn how to think. Way big tangent. Super duper. I'm not even sorry about it because I think it's really important for you guys to know. So back to what we were really here for, content batching. So now you know how to batch your content planning, your content creation, and the automation. And we even went a little bit into how to repurpose and all of that kind of stuff. You know how to do it strategically now. You know that using the core framework, the planning for your conversions, one thing once a week, repurpose and engagement, and the speed buckets, showcase, personal, promotion, engagement, and directional. Okay? You know how to use all of that stuff all together. If you want help executing it, you can come and join me in the next Get It Done Content Planning and Creation Execution Club. It is not a training video. It is not sitting with me for 2 hours listening to me drone on. Y'all can do that once a week on Thursdays at 10 a.m. But this is the #1 way to make sure that everything that you are wanting to do actually gets done. It's when I write my content, it's going to be when you write your content too. When you walk away from those 2 hours, you've got everything you're going to need to finish up with a couple of hours on your own, if you need it. Some people don't, and you get it all done, right? You walk away with your shit done. Not a training course, execution club. So if you want to know how to do that, if you just drop Get It Done down below, I'll make sure you get it to the next one. I had an absolute blast with you guys today. I had many, many tangents. I'm going to go take some selfies because I've got a boatload of makeup on. So I hope you guys had a wonderful day. I will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Bye, guys.